What is good, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And this one I want to break down what's going on with Tesla stock and what's going on with the overall market. I'm going to talk about what Jerome Powell just said that's very important for the stock market and the economy, and what's going on with the other Fed speakers coming out for today. But before I break anything down, all this information, before I get into any more details, let me just mention a couple of things. I am personally not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Moomoo, the link down below, and deposit $100 into the account, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. The offer ends very soon, in just about 2 weeks. Check it out before they run out. Anyways, let's break down what's going on with the market. So, looking at the market right now, I just want to start off with Tesla right now because we have a very interesting information. Tesla was one of the highlights of the day because they had their deliveries, and deliveries were lower than expected by some margin. Wall Street was expecting 450,000 deliveries from Tesla. They ended up getting around 435,000 instead. Most analysts out there were saying 440,000, this and that. So Tesla ended up underperforming a bit. Now, as a result of that, Tesla ended up pumping despite the fact that it had some very, very bad looking numbers. And it started pumping initially, but now Tesla's starting to look a little weaker as it's starting to curl a bit. So there is a risk of Tesla potentially cooling off as we have a head and shoulders on the 4-hour time frame. But for confirmation, I want to see Tesla hold below 250 for this to truly sink. We need to hold and break and hold below 250 for that to happen. If that's the case, there would be more conviction for the bears. But if we hold above 250, then there's some hope for the bulls. So you want to be watching that level very carefully. As of right now, we're at like 250.4. So just going to be watching that very, very carefully. Now, Jerome Powell was also speaking today. Powell basically didn't really say much. He just said a couple of things here and there about how there's going to be economic contraction. There may be pain for the economy coming. He also said that the Fed has more work to do, and that's pretty much it. He just basically he basically implicitly stated that, and that's pretty much it. He didn't really say much, to be honest with you all. And he did say a couple of things which are a little bit hawkish, which caused yields to go up again, which led to the market potentially selling off a bit. But that's pretty much it. It was, for the most part, just him just sitting around and listening to the others. Not a whole lot happened during Powell's speech, but he did say a couple of things that shook the markets. Besides that, we have Williams from the Fed speaking, I think, in just a few minutes at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And that's pretty much it for the Fed speakers for today. We have Messenger speaking after the market closes, but that's pretty much it. Now, we just have a few more Fed speakers, but now the market is just kind of like trading sideways. As far as SPY goes, this thing is making an attempt to bounce right about here. You could see that it came down to about 424.5, and now it's trying to make its way back up. We're going to be watching this 426 area right about here. Can we reject off 426.12, or do we end up breaking above it? That's going to be worth noting, so we're going to be watching that very, very carefully. I just want to note that as this is trying to rebound, we can see Tesla's trying to rebound, but it's not looking insanely strong just yet. We just have to watch and see how it performs. Watch this level very carefully on SPY as well. On the 4-hour time frame, it looks possible that there could be more downside potentially coming, so be very careful on SPY. Watch this 426 resistance, then 425 as support. If that breaks, watch 424.5 as critical support. If that breaks, then the 423 level will likely be tested, 423 flat. So that's going to be very important for SPY. The supports become tighter and tighter around these levels. Now, SPY, there could be a little bit more downside coming, but ultimately it does look like it's going to try to bottom around this level. I don't expect it to crash way, way, way too hard from here to come all the way down to like 405 or something like that. I'm not really expecting that. I'm leaning in the direction that even though there could be a little bit more downside, it's going to try to base very soon. I think it's going to try to base in these very low 420s. So we're just going to be waiting to see if that happens. Now, once again, for Tesla, we have this head and shoulders like pattern. This is very, very key. Going to be watching this right shoulder to see if this forms or not. And let's watch and see if it closes below 250. If so, the bears would have an edge. Right now, Tesla's looking, the 4-hour time frame was looking quite decent in the beginning, but we're starting to reject a little bit. The 30 minutes on Tesla's looking a little weaker. You can see we're losing some bullish momentum right here. We're barely holding these EMAs, though it's very important to note. And on the 5-minute time frame, Tesla's still looking a little weaker. We're starting to reject off this 50, so we're going to be watching this very carefully. Can we hold this 250 area or not? That's just the main thing for today. Now, for Aapl, this thing is looking a little weaker because we made an attempt to bounce today. We were talking about that yesterday, and we did bounce a bit, but now we're starting to form a slanted head and shoulders. So if Aapl rejects down here, we could see the 172.2 area being tested. If that's the case, that would be a bearish signal. On the QQQ, this is also forming a slight head and shoulders, but it's not looking as strong. If we're rejecting off this 50 EMA, very close to this 360 area, we could be watching for 358 as key support. If that breaks, then 357 is on the table, 357.5 and 357 flats. Watch those levels very carefully. It does look like the QQQ is just kind of fighting this resistance, trading a little sideways. If we break above it, then 361 is a possibility, but as of right now, it looks like it's rejecting off 360 and it might just trade sideways around here. Now, Nvidia is actually holding up quite decently. It's actually outperforming the market a bit. But I just want to warn everyone that there is a possible head and shoulders that could be forming right here. We have a left shoulder, possible right shoulder that could be forming unless we manage to break above 458.2. So we're going to be watching that very carefully. On the 5-minute time frame, you guys can see this a little bit more clearly. There's still a possible head and shoulders on it. Unless we break 452, then that could be invalidated. So be very careful at this resistance on Nvidia, and we'll see if this rejects or not. If it rejects and breaks below the low that we made right here at like 445, we could see Nvidia start sinking towards 442. But for now, we're going to be just waiting to see how it reacts to this resistance. There's a possible head and shoulders, so just be prepared for that just in case. Finally, for the dollar index, this is continuing to pump a little bit, but we got this bearish divergence and rejection off of this, and we're going to be watching this support right here, which was the previous resistance. We're going to be watching this 106.8 area. That's very close to where our 50 EMA is. Does the dollar hold or not? That's going to be very important for the market. For Tesla, I keep going back to Tesla because this is one of the stocks I'm just watching very carefully. We're still at 250, very flat, not a whole lot's going on. Going back to other tickers out there, I just wanted to mention that Amazon, we got a little pump on Amazon, but also there's a possible head and shoulders. If we break below 127.92, I expect this to play out. We're going to see 126.5 or so. So watch that as a very critical support, and we're watching resistance right now at 129. Amazon looks like it may reject, and the odds do favor some downside, but just to be safe, you want to watch and see if that ends up happening. And the yields are still going up. The yield is still up quite a bit right now, so be very careful. If they keep pumping like this would be a bearish signal. So watch your levels carefully, guys. Do what you have to do. I hope the best for everyone out there, and just know that there could be a little more downside for the markets. We're still looking kind of weak thanks to Jerome Powell's speech and other factors with the yields pushing up as high as they are. So we're just going to be watching to see it. I'm not calling the market crashing extremely hard from here. We're going to be watching to see the base in this low 420s area. But what does have some potential downside may be Tesla if we end up holding below 250, because we have this large head and shoulders, and deliveries were a miss for Tesla. So be very careful with Tesla. There's lots of trickery with the stock. They pumped it initially, but now they're starting to dump it a bit. So be very careful. Do what you have to do, guys. Take care. I'll see you guys very soon for the final video of the day later on. All right. Thank you for listening. Have a great day. Take care, everyone. And I'll see you guys very, very soon for the next video. Tesla to the moon alongside the whole market, because the long term is still very bright despite these short term fluctuations. I'm still a big bull in the markets long term, guys. I know that the short term is kind of like tricky, very choppy, but just be safe and do what you have to do. Thank you and peace out.